Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best live YouTube stream to talk about the markets. It still hasn't quite rolled off my tongue yet since the adjustment. I talk about that every day. But welcome, guys, to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Max, Chef Jackus, and of course, Louis. What's up, guys? We are finishing up your week. It has been a week of mixed bag. We'll call it that. Maybe just kind of some consolidation when we're looking at the ETH chart over the last few days. Obviously, we've pumped pretty hard here, coming into this week, and there was definitely that expectation that we'd see continuation immediately, or not. I guess it just kind of depends on what side of the aisle you are on. But it seems that we are at a bit of a decision point now that Bitcoin has dumped below its local range. We're going to talk about it on today's show and more. But welcome, guys. Before we can get too deep into the commentary, the analysis, talking about Bitcoin, of course, as well as kind of our expectation from altcoins, if Bitcoin's going to recover, if Bitcoin's going to dump further, you know what I'm about to ask you, right? If you can hit that like button for us, you always help us grow our channel, and we always appreciate it because you help us continue to bring you this content on a daily basis, basically. I hope that you guys have been enjoying the YouTube videos as well that we've been putting out throughout the week. I think they've been very high quality analysis. But let's talk about the market. Enough yapping. Bitcoin did dump kind of late last night. We've been having this pretty persistent sell pressure coming from Galaxy Digital, who has been OTCing an ancient Bitcoin whales holdings to the tune of like $7 to $8 billion worth of Bitcoin. So we've had kind of this like asymmetric weakness on Bitcoin relative to the rest of the market, not just Ethereum, but also equities, which are unsurprisingly green once again. God, we love crypto, don't we, guys? The title's pretty fitting. I miss the big, beautiful crypto pumps. But yeah, Bitcoin gave us a little bit of a dump into 115K. We're now below the trading range of the last 2 weeks. Is this a swipe at some of that downside liquidity before we potentially trade higher? Or is this a sign of pretty substantial weakness and potential continued weakness throughout this quarter? Like I said, these are things that we're going to discuss throughout the show. I would probably stake my claim in the camp that we're going to bounce from here, though, personally. Basing that off of not just the fact that, I like the way that, one, we had some pretty inefficient selling into this low, right? Last night was very aggressive. It was almost as if it was intentional. We can discuss that, of course, but I think as long as Bitcoin's holding above 112, 113, that we're likely to see this move ultimately resolve higher. Altcoins, I believe, are also communicating this with some of the strength that we're seeing from altcoins who hit their levels of support sooner than Bitcoin, but have now begun to kind of chop-solidate, we'll call it, around these levels of support. So we're going to have to see how it continues to develop throughout the week, obviously, but I'm personally optimistic that Bitcoin is going to hold here, basing that also off my bias in equity markets, which are green, but I'm not expecting equities to necessarily rip from here. I just think they're going to go sideways until Q4 at this rate. And then we will see likely more bullish rebalancing towards the end of the year. But yeah, Bitcoin, we'll see if it bounces. I think it will. Deviation above the range. It makes sense to me that we pump into FOMC next week, potential for a rate cut, and probably even August OPEX. But how are we doing, guys? What are we thinking about the price action right now? What do we think about the indiscriminate Bitcoin seller selling in the least liquid period of the evening last night? We swept those lows this morning. This would probably be where you would want to see a reaction from Bitcoin on a lower time frame. But what are we thinking about Bitcoin, altcoins, and the rest of the market?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
There is no
Or
point in
afternoon.
saying good morning because it most certainly is not one.
It's always good morning. In a bear market, I remember in 2022, it's what got us out of the bear market. It was so brutal that we just kept on wishing each other good morning, and it kind of felt better. And we kind of got out of it, and it started to feel amazing. And yeah, here we are today. So it is what it is.
I'm personally just happy Bitcoin's doing something other than bounce and this freaking compression we've been in. This is pretty heinous. So I'm glad. Heinous. Get your mind out of this.
Anus.
Do you know that word?
I heard anus.
Well, it's
And-
heinous with an H. I think it's like HEINUS. Heinous.
Honestly, it could be
means
both.
horrible.
Yeah, it could be both, man.
Yeah, it could either or. I think they're synonyms, right? But yeah, this price action the last couple days, more recently, man, it's just been like the low time frame leveraged Bitcoin scalpers have just been getting chopped to bits. If you're trying to trade this over the last 3 or 4 days, man, you definitely have not made it out alive, right? It's like death by 1,000 cuts. But I'm just glad we're finally seeing some sort of separation from this multi-day cluster here. Coming into the bottom of this consolidation, we did tag into this FEG CME here on the daily, or whatever time frame. There was a CME gap there. I don't know if we tagged the CME gap, but we definitely have tagged this FEG. Our liquidity sitting right below us. Low end of the consolidation pattern here. I agree with Tommy. I think this is a great spot to see a reaction, whether it's today or maybe we need to bounce around here for a little longer over the weekend before heading back up. I think this is a great area that we should see some sort of reaction, and just happy that we're starting to get some volatility returning back to Bitcoin, because this was just horrible.
We haven't tagged it yet, but we came really, really close.
Yeah, so who knows if we get one more little blip into the weekend.
I mean, the past week was really interesting in terms of like literally nobody cared about Bitcoin in the past week, because ETH was moving and BTC was ranging, and it was like, I do not even remember when was the last time like this. I think it has to be like years or something, but like literally zero coverage about Bitcoin. Everyone just talking about ETH, alt season, and so forth. So definitely good move for BTC here. I think it's pretty healthy. I like it. We had a breakout of the long consolidation that we've been for the past 7 months to the upside. We spent another month here, maybe. It's just the market gathering future strengths for more upside, and just further confirming this to be the as you guys, I think, call it long expedited cycle. So yeah, I think all is well. I like where we are heading, not just crypto, and I'm here to enjoy it. And obviously some days will be less interesting than the others, but then some will be more interesting than the others, and so we are here to experience it all.
Yeah.
Silent.
No, I was just thinking about how you're right, but yeah.
But you just want the price to go up, I know.
Yeah, basically that. Yeah, more or less. That's kind of the perfect way to sum up how I'm feeling. I think we should hold here. I mean, looking at ETH, like ETH looks pretty strong. This feels like a pretty isolated little Bitcoin flush. I think even a lot of altcoins structurally look a lot better than Bitcoin. But I will say I don't really think Bitcoin can go too much deeper than here. I think it's fine that it's kind of dipping its toe into that inefficiency from the markup. I think that's fine. But I don't really want to see Bitcoin completely fill that inefficiency, because right now we've basically backfilled the CME gap from the markup, which is good, right? We can all agree that's fine. But you're going to want to see something here pretty soon, I think. So
yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I don't think we are filling that entire inefficiency.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
There'd be more of a it would be more strong if we didn't, right? That'd be a more sign of strength if we did leave a lot of that open, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've really had like a price indiscriminate seller through Galaxy Digital over the last week, especially last night. You know, the way they were exiting that position last night almost felt a bit intentional. And when we've seen these movements in this manner throughout the cycle, right? I think about like U.S. government selling, Germany sell, like the German government selling last year.
That.
I mean, almost all of these events have led to that inefficient price action eventually getting cleaned up. It might have led to a little bit lower. I don't really know if I see that from Bitcoin here, like maybe slightly lower, but realistically, we should be holding here. You know, or we're going to have some very different conversations here in about a week or two. But no, I'm feeling happy and optimistic about the future. I think, can we just marvel at the fact for a second that, you know, we've basically seen $7 or $8 billion worth of Bitcoin sold, and we're still above 115K.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is. It really is. And
maturation.
Make sure to sell, or you should definitely make sure to short after they're done selling, not before.
Yeah. That's a smart move. It's a smart move. Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna happen on the way up, guys. Like, I think I saw this wallet, or I don't even know this specific wallet, but we saw a bunch of, you know, ancient whale wallets starting to wake up. You know, starting like around 4th of July, and like, can you blame them? Like, I don't like. Listen, people are going to take profits along the way. They've held this shit for like 8 years. They've made billions of dollars on this trade. Like, there's always going to be pit stops in different spots in the market where people are going to be taking profits and taking money off the board. It is what it is. But guess what? New entrants come into the market, right? And that's why, and that's how you got a trending market, right? You have a move up, people, you know, hop off on their stop, take their profits, and then new people hop back on the train and take their entries on higher lows, right? And that's going to kind of be the theme, I think, going into the next 6 to 9 months is people are going to be forced to buy on these pullbacks on higher lows, right? So there's always going to be people taking profits. That's a market, right? That's a market. But as long as we continue to show strength and, you know, people or enough money continues to show interest in bids at these levels, we'll be okay. And like Tommy said, if this was, you know, I don't know the exact dollar amount, but billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin being sold over the last couple of days, and you know, we're still holding well above, you know, 110, 111K, still holding on to a lot of this breakout. That's a good sign, right? That's a good sign. Just a pullback or consolidation we got to get through.
You can't be too mad. Like,
yeah,
objectively, if I was sitting on like $10 billion of Bitcoin, I'd probably cheat it, if I'm being honest. Not all of it, like at least half though. Like I would sell half and then just leave half forever. And if Bitcoin goes to zero, then who cares? I already booked 5 billion. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't blame them. I will say sometimes these people sell like they have no idea what they're doing. I will say that. Like, I don't understand selling into like a low volatility kind of illiquid session. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Like,
could be collusion.
I honestly think that like just because somebody has a lot of money or is the custodian of a lot of money doesn't actually mean that they're very smart. I think it's like sometimes people just get put in positions and like they ended up there and like, all right, you know, politics is a perfect example of that too. You know, you don't have to be the brightest and the best. You know, sometimes you just end up somewhere and you're like, how the fuck did I get here? You know,
I mean, how'd I end up here? You know,
so if someone handed you 80,000 Bitcoin, no, Louis, you got game, bro. Like, without question. If somebody handed you 80,000 Bitcoin, Louis, and was like, liquidate this for me and give me the best price, like, would you think to do it like on like a low volatility range, low Asia session, or would you wait? Like, what would you do?
I'd wait for volume. I'd wait for, I'd do it slowly over time and wait for volume, to pick back up again. Right. That's what I would recommend. But again, if, someone is coming to you at the end of the day, it's their money, with whatever they want, you kind of have to do, I guess, in a sense. Right. So maybe they're just like, nope, I don't give a shit. I've held this for 10 to 12 years. I want my money. You know what I mean? Do it. Who knows? Right. You're never going to know. But
Yeah.
Open shorts, sell the Bitcoin at the most sensitive period of the day with the least amount of volume for maximum price impact. Cover the shorts, maybe even fill some longs, and I think that's what's probably going to happen, because if you look at the OI on Bitcoin, it's it's up a pretty good bit from where we started dumping yesterday. Like open interest has risen almost 10%. Actually, since we started moving lower yesterday.
Yeah, that's true.
By the way, to what you were saying, Max, I think 2022 bear market really showed that big money doesn't equal smart money, because I don't remember the exact stats, but I remember we were discussing it back then live, and I think it showed, like, I think there was a stat, and I don't think I'm too far like outside of that 2/3 of all public funds were not outperforming or were downperforming, or maybe even were at a loss over the past like 20-30 years in 2022 when the bear market hit. So that really shows big money doesn't equal smart money. And oftentimes you'll see on CT that like, oh, retail this, retail that, we have to wait, and market makers are trying to trap retail here. Retail doesn't matter when it comes to ETH and Bitcoin, not at all, right? Like it's a game of big guys versus slightly lower guys, but they are still big. Or it's a game between big guys and even bigger guys. And retail here is just like like a small plankton, just watching that from outside. It's like these guys are playing a different game.
Yes.
And there is plenty of dumb guys alongside the big guys too, because even if you look at, as you guys said, even if you look at the politics, if you look at the policymakers, regulators, there's plenty of people who have absolutely zero idea. They just somehow got there by being in a body shaft or something like that, where they've been abroad to someone who got them into the position, government position, and so forth. So that's about it. Obviously there's going to be smart guys there too, and they'll be probably winning for lots of time, but they are in a minority. So big guys doesn't equal smart guys.
No, it does not. Yeah, no, it doesn't. And it should also tell you, though, I think as well, that the same people that have traditionally ended crypto cycles, right? These ancient whales, they don't have the same, and I don't want to speak too soon before Bitcoin trades lower, but I will say, that sort of selling pressure in previous cycles is an automatic cycle ender. It's a completely different market now than what we were trading in 2021.
Yeah,
Indeed.
we have bigger players at the table now that can have the money to swallow up these big sells, right? I mean, obviously locally you're going to pull back, right? But yeah, we have bigger players at the table now that can handle that. And
we need to think of it in a way it is, right? Bitcoin is now the 5th largest asset class in the world. It's on par with stuff like Apple, Microsoft, and so forth. So you basically, and it's liquid. It's really liquid out there on plenty of exchanges and stuff. So, you still do get big moves on Microsoft and so forth, but the moves are very coordinated and oftentimes very liquid too. So yeah, and I think Ether is not that far behind either. I think Ether is like rank number 25. Let me see in the meantime.
Well, ETH has, all of these flows supposedly incoming. I've seen a lot of people talk about the flows coming into, or projected flows rather, coming into ETH and BTC. I know there's probably some level of like, okay, we're going to bid Bitcoin here because we know that Saylor and others are about to top blast like $5 to $10 billion worth of Bitcoin buys at the same time. So maybe it's just a matter of when those come in. But yeah, I mean, everybody's been talking about SBET for ETH. I actually don't even know what that chart looks like, but that's run by Joe Lubin.
Yeah, by the way, Ether is ranked 25, and it's just ahead of Costco. And
That
just
50x.
and just creeping up on ExxonMobil, who are basically the same market cap, which is Ether is currently at 440 bill, Costco is 415, and Exxon is 475.
Of what? What is that?
The market caps of these companies. Again, ExxonMobil 475 billion, Ether 440 billion, Costco 415 billion market cap.
I think Costco's topped, but
Yeah.
as a Costco respecter, of course.
I wasn't a fan of Costco, honestly.
What?
Me and my wife, when we moved recently, let's try out Costco. We got a bigger place now. We could handle, like, we have room to like put the wholesale stuff, right? Like the wholesale size packaging. And we went in there. It was just a fucking, It was a zoo. It was an absolute, maybe it was a bad day, right? But it was an absolute zoo in there. I was dodging shopping carts. Like people were just like trying to push me around. And then just like, it's all like high name brand stuff. And we've kind of moved away from a lot of that stuff. We try to eat a little healthier, and they didn't really have any of those options. So wasn't a big fan. We literally canceled it the next day. So we lasted 1 day as Costco members.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I like from Costco is just like the meat pricing. Buying it in bulk, chicken, beef, steak. I'm a proteins guy.
I think by the way, what lots of people don't get with market caps of these assets is that they are decentralized to a big degree, and they are world assets. They are not located to one nation. Ether and Bitcoin are, anyone in the world can own them. Walmart is not going to be in every country out there, and so forth. So that's that. Costco the same. So what I'm trying to say is that their market cap can rise way above all of these.
Yes. I think the best thing, really the biggest thing when we're talking about market cap appreciation is it's entirely based on speculation, obviously, but it's like, how much can you speculate like these narratives, whether they're true or not, for something like Ethereum? That's always been kind of crypto's calling card, is it's kind of a chameleon as far as like what the utility of ETH, of Bitcoin, of altcoins has been every cycle. And it's going to, in my opinion, continue to change until we hit kind of like a peak saturation point. But I don't think we're there yet. I will say ETH is probably a little bit overvalued, or was. Obviously, we have kind of all these tailwinds coming in, so you could certainly debate whether or not it's overvalued now. But I don't think we're at that saturation point for ETH yet, where you're saying this cannot possibly be valued at higher levels. So what is the total market cap right now of ETH, Jack? It's like what, 300 billion?
400
billion?
440 billion.
Okay.
But the thing is that, again, you will not have visa in every country in the world. There are restrictions, but you can have ease in literally every country in the world, basically. And the ease of access is out there. Like, all you need is really, basically just a connection to the internet, sometimes not even that. And you can, like, you just download a MetaMask or any other, wallet, and that's it. Basically, it's very, very easy to use. And I think that potential, coupled with the fact that it's going to be the backbone of most stable coins out there, is just that narrative is underappreciated. People love to bet on stories. There's a huge story that ETH is going to be the backbone of the entire DeFi on the internet in the future. So I think that's huge. And in my opinion, that's at minimum 2 trillion market cap idea, if not bigger. So
I agree. No, I agree. I mean, NVIDIA just hit what, 4 trillion?
NVIDIA, let me see. NVIDIA just hit 4.2 trillion, and yeah. I think it's not out of the question that you'll see Ether go bigger than NVIDIA market cap. I'm not saying straight away, but I think in the future.
I don't think that's impossible either, which is a pretty, crazy thing to say at surface value. But I don't know if that's like a this cycle thing.
Yeah, probably not this cycle.
It's probably a longer term thing, but I mean, maybe a good indication for a cycle top on Bitcoin is when it flips NVIDIA, at least like locally speaking, becomes the most technically valued asset in the world. Eventually it will flip gold. That might be kind of like a next cycle thing, but I don't know how you guys feel about that.
As I was saying in today's, we see that I do think this cycle, Bitcoin is going to catch 25 to 50% of gold's market cap, but gold market cap will keep on rising through the cycle.
What do you think about gold here, Jackus?
Still bullish.
Still bullish?
Yeah.
Because it's selling off a bit today.
That's fine. That's well, I suppose define the time frame, right?
That's true. I do think, looking at it, it failed to break the highs that we set in June, which might signal that it could go lower here in the interim. But
I just was trying to type in gold, and instead I typed in God. And I'm surprised there is no God ticker, or maybe there is. But yeah, I think gold local resistance at 3,440 is bound to break in the future and then get retested. But it's a normal bull market reaccumulation that gold's currently in, and that's a healthy thing, good thing. I don't think it again changes anything from the bull market, and I still think there is some geopolitical risks out there. I still think the central bankers are not planning to stop their purchases anytime soon, and in that sense, the gold bull market will probably be lasting for another 2-3 years at minimum. So local sideways, yes. Not expecting a top anytime soon.
Well, that's encouraging, because it seems to be trading a little bit correlated here with Bitcoin on a lower time frame. I think Capital Flows was tweeting about that this morning, which is why I brought it up, why I kind of wanted to hear what you had to say about it.
I think that through the years, BTC again, most people probably, or the maxis will agree on this, that BTC will start to take the gold's position for store of value. and I'm wondering what gold is going to become. But as of now, it's still, you know, the main asset to acquire by central bankers. So, and it's going to stay that way. I think that, by the way, lots of people are still not pricing in, like in their heads, the fact that BTC will be owned by central bankers and they'll acquire it, and that's lots of buy pressure for coming years. Keep in mind that the commodity rally in the 1970s, in the 70s, right? Sorry, 80s. No, 70s. Sorry.
Yeah, because I kind of see a lot of similarities to the current Bitcoin cycle and the gold rally of the 1970s. I actually sent Max some price action specifically that I was looking at involving gold from the 70s.
Yeah, I think that is in the 70s. That's really been central bankers acquiring gold big time, which sent it this high. And obviously, then you start to get, you know, other big players along. But I think this is going to be the future bidding for BTC as well.
I have a feeling from this is just like very high time frame, obviously, not like something that I would be taking any trades on today, but like I kind of feel like when this cycle is over, given the fact that central banks are accumulating Bitcoin, that a lot of the buyers of Bitcoin are debt driven, the refractory period from this cycle is going to be long. It is going to be very, very long. But I'm not a respecter of the 4-year cycle anymore. I think that's going to be true both ways, where, you know, you're disregarding it on the way up, and you're probably also disregarding it now
Yes.
on the way down.
Yes.
But I'd love to shift the conversation. Max, I know this was something that we were texting about this morning. Do you want to elaborate on it a little bit on the show today?
Could you be more specific?
The Pepe to the moon chart that you posted this morning, and that, I'll be honest, I really see a lot of similarities with as well.
Are you accusing me of bull posting Pepe live on the show?
I would never. I was
gonna say you better tread lightly. I would never ever do something so outrageous and filled with hopium. But I guess since you ask nicely, I'd be happy to. Let's pull it up and yap about it for just a little bit here. Let's see here. Well, would you look at that? Found it between some couch cushions.
You know, Jackus, I'll be honest, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, Max. So, like, you really made me think yesterday, Jackus. I can't remember if it was on Market Check or if it was on like a morning call, but you just like remove the Trump pump from these charts. They look so different.
Market Check. It was on Wednesday.
So different if you remove the Trump pump from the chart.
Yeah. Max is gonna do it right now. I think I have a banner here for that way.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. This was actually a fractal that I was watching.
Look top right corner.
Yeah, that is real. So listen, actually, I think maybe I need to apply some context this before. So Tommy, here's the thing. Tommy's object tree is a very intimate experience, and he doesn't open it up to anybody. Like, my object tree is for everybody, okay? But Tommy is very, very selective and protective. He guards his object tree very closely. But Tommy and I have known each other a long time. We're business partners. Tommy, he's gracious enough to share his object tree with me from time to time. sometimes late at night, like I'll be laying in bed and my phone will buzz and like it'll just be like a fractal, you know.
That hotline bling.
Yeah, you know,
I'm
we have
sorry.
pillow talk, that hotline blings. I mean, it takes a long time to get there with Tommy, but you know, I would encourage all of you to try to level up your relationship with him so that you can have some very intimate object tree discussions late at night. And you know, Tommy shared a couple fractals with me, skewing bullish. I won't share too much, Tommy. Don't worry. I know that you guard those, you know, those fractals closely, but very, very bullish leaning fractals. And he sent me one sort of about it. I think it was this, but he had it in linear mode, which, you know, he didn't mean it, but I take great offense to sharing linear mode fractals because it's against my religion to share linear mode fractals. So I took it very offensively, but I didn't say anything. What I did is I went ahead and I made an amendment to it, and I recreated the fractal this morning in logarithmic mode. So, you know, we have atoned for Tommy's mistakes. Okay. Now, the origin of this fractal is actually it's actually something I've played around with before, and I'll show you an old fractal that I had, which kind of actually falls in line with here. Let me just get this pulled up first. So this is the one we're looking at right now. And I've played around with this fractal before, and I first used it over here. I put this on here like months and months and months ago, right? Now, the big issue here with this fractal was that we had this Trump pump that kind of like disrupted the entire market, right? But this is the Doge lifetime fractal. So Doge range 1, Doge range 2. We had this, you know, the Trump pump that derailed us, right? So it was right up in here. And that kind of, if you think of it in a different light, you know, we got way out in front of our skis here, and now we're way underneath over here, right? But the fractal's still valid. This is just kind of buoyancy that you're seeing here with this market. This is just reflexivity where we got way too out in front and now we're behind. But there's actually a pretty decent chance that we do finish this fractal, and you see Pepe somewhere up in here at some point, right? So the origin of this fractal is one that I've actually played around with before, but I was inspired this morning to kind of recreate it a bit, slightly modify it, you know, to adjust for the Trump pump. And then also, here, I'll just hide this one and then put this back on. Just make a few minor adjustments that, you know, take into consideration the Trump pump and the change of timing, because Q1 was, you know, certainly derailed a bit. But, you know, I feel like it really, really simply, like anybody that's viewing, I don't know how you can view this coming out of, you know, this really as any bearish scenario. It's really no different than like range 1 into range 2. I mean, it's just it's the meme coin playbook, you know. It's the same thing. So, you know, that's more or less it, you know. It's just, this is our fractal right here. You know, this is kind of the expectation, is like we should get ready for liftoff here. You know, the Trump pump is requiring us to make some minor adjustments to the fractal. It's never perfect, but it's pretty close. You know, and I think we're getting ready to ramp, and you know, people selling here are going to end up clinically depressed. There is no treatment for it. So you
Max,
know, it is what it is. Yeah.
how long is this sideways consolidation for Pepe compared to the one that Doge did before, like its second leg? Is it like much longer at this point?
It's gonna be shorter. It's gonna be shorter. So here's the thing: is this actually goes back here to January of 2014. So this range 1 was, or this cycle 1 was, you know, 1400 days here. For Pepe, it was a fraction of that, right? 388. The fractal, but the thing is with fractals, you can take a 5-minute fractal and throw it on the daily time frame. It's just price action. The time doesn't matter too much. It's more about the fit in my experience. Number 2 over here, this was again significantly longer, right? We're looking at Doge like lifetime cycles versus Pepe kind of being like within one giant cycle, but doing the Doge fractals within it. So certainly much more expedited, but I don't think that the time matters too much. I think it has more to do with just like the overlay and the fit. But yeah.
I am feeling happy and optimistic about the future.
I need price to go up. I have overinvested by a lot.
If we get back above 117K on Bitcoin, shorts are going to get squeezed. I think that's the level to watch. Quite frankly,
what would you say, Tommy?
117.
Yeah,
Let's
I got
look at
117
Louis' chart here.
Yeah, I got 117. This is it, and this will just be like a little deviation of your chops, your chop session. All right, deviate, backfill liquidity. Yeah, if you start reclaiming this, you're going to start to squeeze, right? And then this consolidation, what is this now, almost 2 weeks, is over, right? So I could definitely see that happening. And 117 is a big level, right? You got 117 and then 118.5, I think, is the next most important. So you kind of got to get through this supply region right here. But getting it back.
I'm going to get my 125 in July, but I think I'm going to get 130 next month. I think we go to 130K from here.
Yeah, I got levels around there too, like 125, 130. But the fact that we've already hit like mid 120s tells me we're likely going to come into this area like 130, like you said, like somewhere in here, before seeing anything significant, if we even do, right? So
shorting ahead of the crypto White House report is unbecoming.
That's next week, right?
Yeah, the 29th or maybe the 30th. I'm actually not sure. Hold on, let me look it up.
Trump's already starting to hint about no gains on capital, no taxes on capital gains. I don't know if he'd be able to actually swing that for equities, but crypto maybe, right? And that would be a huge catalyst to spur innovation and investment in the crypto asset class. That would be massive, right? So, not saying it's going to happen, but one can dream.
What day are they talking about?
I'd like a nice tax return then, right? Over the last couple years, because I actually have paid taxes.
Man, if they retroactively say, yeah, we're going to refund you on the crypto taxes, I'll be euphoric.
Yeah, oh my God.
I highly doubt they would do that. But
no, yeah, they probably won't. But and I think I saw. I think I don't know if it's true. I saw a quick like X post, but like he fired like 20% of the IRS workforce.
I saw that. Yeah. I have no comment on that, but obviously, we don't need that. Like, if you report your taxes, we really don't need more tax enforcement.
Yeah. This kind of feels like here, similar a little bit. What we're doing right now.
There's just been a lot of effort put in to hold this low. Like, usually when that happens, it's a bottom.
You saw, like, I was watching it the last couple of days. Like, every time they dropped it, they tried to drop price below 118.5. Like, it kept getting bought back up. Like, watching the 15-minute, like a couple days ago, like they were really trying, right? Like this was crazy. I was watching this. I was like, what is going on? Like every single time, like it looked like it was going to puke. It didn't, right? And then they finally got it, right? But this had to chop up so many people.
It's just like describe why I hate trading Bitcoin now in a picture.
Yeah.
Tommy,
I don't even waste my time trading Bitcoin perps anymore.
is any of that OI they came in, is that off the board now, or is that still just hanging out?
A lot of it's still hanging out. A lot of it came from Binance, from what I can see.
Okay.
How many 15-minute red candles in a row did we get last night? Oh my God.
What does the RSI look like on that, Louis?
Yeah, it's got to be way oversold. Oh yeah, we're already bouncing.
Oh my God. They pushed it all the way to like 8 or 7.
That's probably the lowest we've been in a long time on the 15-minute. Wow, that's deep. That's what she said. But yeah.
Wow.
I do.
I don't think I've ever seen the 15-minute RSI that deep. Not even this one. That's not even
Maybe on that dump in like August or September of 2023, it might have gotten that low. But yeah,
this was kind of close. The bottom in April. This was the Pico bottom in April at 75K. I think this is probably the closest. So that's a good sign.
You know what? I think this is a good like learning experience though, as far as, because I know there were a lot of people who tried to catch the knife on levered altcoin longs 24 to 48 hours ago, or they saw the recovery that we had and they relonged the top. It's just a liquidation bounce. It's a good reason and precedence, I think, for why you wait specifically on alts for leverage after a wipeout, because a lot of them will go on to make lower lows. At the very least, most of them will come back and retest their liquidation wicks. So I bet some people are maybe there's a bit more panic in the market because of that, I would say. But it is funny, like Jack has said at the start of the show, how we nobody was paying attention to Bitcoin until they kind of had to last night.
I mean, almost every time you come into this, hourly pretty much not crazy. Definitely reached the lower boundary, but a lot of times you come down here on the hourly RSI, like it's a bottom, right? Not every time, but mostly every time, or at least a local bottom.
You know what else I like to see, Louis, is that Hyperliquid is green.
Is it?
It's an asset that in theory should be leading the next leg higher. So it should be showing us some strength. It did not make a lower low this morning.
I mean, it should
It's
bounce
actually
here.
been very strong, holding this kind of $41, $42 pivot over the last few days.
This is rising channel. Rising accumulation. This is where it should have bounced. So if this is vertical accumulation, yeah, we should be bouncing from here, and people are looking for the breakdown and they get wrecked. And then you start breaking this upper boundary, and then you start going vertical, parabolic.
I also think ETH BTC is getting ready to make another leg up. I know people are going to want
ready to win me a steak dinner, Tommy. That's what it is.
I was talking about it on the call yesterday, Max. I think I'm going to hang on by a thread to win. I think it's going to trade up to like 0.05-ish, maybe that high before September, but I don't think it's going to. You were just too high on the target, I think.
I know. Here's the thing. I just want it to be close, you know. I'm picturing it like when you're watching like a golf tournament on Sunday, and like you've got 3 or 4 guys all around like within one shot of each other, and you just want a solid finish. You know, who's gonna win? It could go either way. I want us hanging out like middle of August, end of August. I want us at least 0.055, so it's like the last 2 weeks is just stressful. Okay.
You want me to be stressing it at this point?
I do. You need to feel a little bit of pressure.
Well, I still hope it does hit, all things considered.
I mean, you just bounce on Bitcoin dominance too. Might be done.
Do we think that was just a little like local shoulder before?
Yeah, this is it was a little dead cat bounce on this like multi-year channel. Like,
Can you do me a favor, Louis, and actually zoom back into whatever time frame you were just on?
yeah, the daily.
So look at like that low first couple days of May. Right there. Yeah, that kind of looks like we just retested the underside of that structure.
Yep. Yeah. Alt season. Yeah, once this channel breaks, it's really like this was a nice move, and this is where we've seen ETH and alts, start to push. But once we lose this channel, this is the real deal, right? This is real confirmation. So
something that's giving me confidence that Bitcoin dominance is hitting a local top here is Sol BTC. Not that I'm bullish on it, but I think it makes sense to kind of bounce back towards those local highs that it just put in.
We were discussing Sol ETH, I think, when was it? 2 days ago. Well, on Wednesday, that it should reject here, and that's literally what has happened. Fake pump, retest prior resistance, dump lower again.
Manlets in shambles.
well, I didn't realize we actually got a really nice move out of ETH BTC too. I haven't really looked at this. This is a significant weekly candle for ETH BTC. I mean, historically, you get these candles, right? You see the move, right? Or at least, you get at least a couple weeks worth of bounce at a minimum.
I feel like we trade into 0.04, 0.05, and then consolidate for a bit.
This is the highest weekly RSI has been for ETH BTC since the top 3 years ago.
Looks like a structural break to me.
Yep. Yes, it does. Likely you're going to see some follow through. You're likely going to see some continued follow through for price.
I feel like I hear Max and he's like, just do it already, man. Just do it. I waited all this time. No, really, this cycle has been defined with higher for longer, but you will not be happy about it. You'll get depressed about markets going up.
Someone said 2017 fractal.
I mean, that is kind of like quintessential 2017, 2018 style price action. Not that I was in the market for that cycle, but it basically is the type of price action on BTC that's going to keep you bearish kind of until the end, because you have all of these pullbacks that are super aggressive in between. And when you actually want like that shorter cycle, that blow off top, et cetera, and you just have to wait for it to build up potentially a little bit more before that actually comes.
Well, we kind of actually did this pause too, right? You broke it, you paused, and then you went. Like we broke it, we paused, and now we're going. That's interesting. Very interesting. You even got these lower highs here to start the top.
I feel like if Bitcoin legs higher here towards 130K, the market should, in theory, have enough sense of security that we finally reprice ETH above 4K. What do you guys think about that? Because right now, I think there's maybe we've obviously repriced towards 3,600. It's been a very aggressive move. I don't want to deny that. I don't want to get too overzealous because of that. But Bitcoin's trying to reclaim that very critical it has reclaimed it. It is above that critical $110,000 level. There's some skepticism that it's going to continue moving higher. But if it does, I think that's a sign and Max has talked about this before on Market Check. I think it was yesterday, actually. That's usually a sign from the market that you have very risk-on conditions, and usually everything will move quite aggressively. And if that's the case, if we're looking at Bitcoin potentially trading 100% above its previous cycle all-time high, then are we about to see ETH reprice towards its all-time high very, very quickly? That's something that I'm thinking about, right? I mean, I'm kind of consistently presented two scenarios for the market. We're likely either going to chop around 4K for a while, or maybe we gap above the 4K highs, and then get an aggressive retest of 4K from the top side. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I still think that ETH is going to pause here for a little and then break higher. I think the breakout is at this point nearly inevitable.
Yeah, I would agree.
But again, how do you make people lose interest in a bull market? You push it sideways and make it boring.
I still think the more entertaining outcome is having people FOMO in on the 4K breakout and then doing that longer pause. But we're already seeing a pullback here, so it could totally happen here. I just think it would be more entertaining if they broke it out above 4K. All the sideliners and the bears are forced to FOMO in now, because you're at that point you're breaking a multi-year range, and they're forced into the market, and then you get the pause, I think. But
I feel like this statement, Louis, that because it was made by Elon, the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. And he made it, and I feel like since then everyone used it for their own interpretation. So everyone is like, the most interesting or entertaining outcome is the most likely, and one guy will just pull basically a couple squiggly, 1% higher and then 0. The other will be like the exact vice versa, and so on.
Yeah, it depends on your bias, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, if we do, we could consolidate right under here, right under resistance, which would be actually super bullish, right? It's like one of my, like in a bull market, I say this a lot in the Discord, but in a bull market or in bullish conditions, consolidation under major resistance is bullish, right? And we're kind of sandwiched in between this pretty much 4-year falling trend line that's capped price since the 2021 high. And then you also have range highs right here. So holding this trend line and then also getting capped at this right underneath this, 4K range high, and then blasting off through it. I'm fine with that too. Right. I'm totally fine with that. But damn well, everyone that's looking for a top here or at 4K, like once you start breaking 4K and looking like it's going to go to Valhalla, right? They're forced to FOMO. Boom. Then you get the big scary shakeout. Then maybe you chop similar to what Bitcoin did at its highs, consolidate for like a month and a half, and then blast off. Like those are my main two like scenarios I could see playing out from here. So it's either we're going to do it here and then go, or we're going to Chad higher one more time and then do it and then go. But
I still think that the most entertaining outcome is if we range here beneath 4K, we don't actually touch it, because that's where lots of people want to TP again. So we kind of range here, they wait for it. Then we break it in a straight line, and then we don't come back to retest 4K, and we just continue. So people that wanted to TP, they got front run for 2 months here. then they actually finally get to TP 4K, but it instead breaks straight away higher. You know, like that meme when, oh, I finally got to sell at 4K, but it went to 5K immediately the next hour. And then people will be looking for a pullback to 4K to rebuy, but it doesn't give it to them, and we continue straight up. I'm starting to believe this is the outcome.
Yeah, that's also very entertaining.
I think we're gonna get a huge overshoot of that red box, and then we'll
Yeah.
probably see some crap between like 5,200 and 4,400. But there's one thing is that these charts, they love symmetry for whatever reason, and we put in a monster deviation in Q1, and I think we're gonna get that overshoot to the high. Might take a little bit of time, but I think that's most likely.
Yeah, this is that symmetry right here, Max.
Yep.
Boom, boom. See you later. Multi-year accumulation of ETH by big money.
Well, as you know, the bankers will accumulate ETH for just a small 20% move. So that's like what they usually like to do. They'll spend 4 years accumulating for just 20%. So
yeah, their time horizons are super low time frame.
they're looking for 100R scalps. That's what it comes down to.
And looking to dump on retail.
Yeah, they don't think in years. They think in like hours. You know, that's the best way to operate for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So. What else should we look at?
Just some completely random chart that you can find in your list. Like something you wouldn't normally look at. Like OM, for example.
Yeah, OM. I saw this bounce a little bit the other day. This might be value buy right here. What do you think? We got a big inefficiency here, guys.
Funny, the bears never talked about these inefficiencies to the upside, right?
Yeah, no, only to the downside. I mean, look, they came back and they filled this one. They came back for it.
The death pulled the liquidity. The most entertaining outcome.
I'll be right back, guys.
Not for the holders, though. All right, I'll be right back, guys. Just joking.
Like, where's everybody going?
It's like it would be fun to just leave Max hanging around here alone. But no. This reminds me so much of Luna. Except it didn't go to straight zero, but just a partial zero.
It basically went to zero.
Yeah, basically.
For all intents and purposes, it went to zero.
But it seems nobody cared. Like when Luna happened, that was like everyone, like mainstream media were discussing that. When OM happened, everyone was like, yep, that's crypto. Anyway.
Yeah, I remember when this happened. I actually had a friend in my Discord that was talking about shorting it, like literally 5 minutes before it dropped off a cliff. It was really pretty funny. They were like, should I short something with this sort of funding on it? And literally 5 minutes later, it's like, you post the Tree Capital bot chart, and it's literally down 50%.
Yeah. The thing is exactly what Stanley Druckenmiller said. It's like, he in the year 2000 or slightly ahead, he was like, I was looking at these companies and I was like, I'm gonna short them. We shorted like 15 companies worth of $200 million, and we lost about 600 million, all of them, and then they all went bankrupt a year later. And it's like lots of people were looking at this chart and looking to short it since $1, and they would be right about it. But the thing is that it went up to $8.5 or $9 in the meantime. So it's like, yeah, but you're gonna get squeezed first before you get the opportunity to dump it. Unless you really get it's simply really hard to time it, these shorts, even though you are right about it. Probably the genius thing you can do is just either ignore the chart, not participate, or you need to play it with low size and have really tight stops that you get triggered and not
You
skips.
probably are just better off forgetting about these assets because I think when you're trying so hard to pick a top, you're never going to be able to find the real top. If you're not trying to call one, I feel like I can just look at a chart that I haven't looked at in a while and be like, yeah, that's probably topped. But if I'm actively trying to call, a top or a bottom on the same chart that I'm looking at every single day,
yeah,
I'm probably going to be a little bit biased. I'm not going to be able to read the market as clearly.
Yeah.
Louis,
Total
is that your
still-
cycle target?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, not for a lot of the bleeding we've seen out of the market the last week or so. I mean, total still looks great. Right.
It's really just been an altcoin bleed, man, is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Bitcoin had a little drop last night, but
Let's look at that one then. Let's look at total excluding Bitcoin and ETH. All right, still above this this consolidation breakout.
I feel like we've also seen some comparisons for something like ETH to that Bitcoin ETF range as well. And the breakout that followed, before it marked up to what, like almost 70K or above.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities to like Q1 of last year. It's just ETH now instead of Bitcoin, and you're starting to see that institutional adoption narrative for ETH picking up like you were with Bitcoin. So,
Well, let's hope that we don't get this. Because I think you're talking about this, right, Tommy?
Yeah. We broke out of a structure that looked like that. We got two extremely large impulses out of BTC. Are we maybe in that consolidation before the second big one? I don't know. They're not exactly the same. You can definitely point out some differences. But we did see Pepe really break out on that second impulse, as well as most meme coins. And when I look at a lot of these meme coin structures, they remind me a lot of February or March of 2024 structures that we saw them put in. Floki, Shib, others. Really, I mean, I feel like I'm seeing the same kind of thing play out on meme coins again. We'll see if the end result is the same. Obviously, memes marked up like 10x out of those structures, and we're trading at much higher market caps now. But that kind of we've seen it from Pepe as a great example, like that slow grind up towards the high that sucked everybody into longs just to kind of swipe all the long liquidity. We've seen that play out before on meme coins. And as long as we're not talking about them in the sense of like, yeah, they're breaking their lows from this vertical accumulation structure. I think it's, ultimately perfectly normal and something that we've seen before from this market.
Yeah, I like this level for Pepe. And we had a nice breakout, backfilling some of it. But, if you get back above this level, you're going to start to go again, right? Target minimum is wedge high, but the way the market's looking, this is going to come back to the old all-time high, in my opinion. Just stair-stepping, guys. We're just stair-stepping, right? Low, low, higher low, higher low. Just looking for our next higher low, right? And people are going to be forced to buy these higher lows. Like you're not coming back here. You're not coming back here. likely not coming back here. So people are going to be forced to buy these higher lows. But as a holder, you just got to get through the pullbacks, right? Got to sit on your hands. You got to sit on your hands.
So Bitcoin sat in that range after its first impulse in Q1 of 2024 for about 12 days before it began moving higher again. Right now, ETH has been within this range for about 7.
You said 2021?
2024.
Oh. This one, right?
Yes.
Are you talking about this pause right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always got to have some respect for time.
I mean, that's been the story of this market cycle. It's the time-based consolidations and capitulations. Just like people just like, come on, like I can't do this anymore. You know? And then
I can't take it anymore, Louis. I'm completely out of the cryptocurrency market.
Yeah.
Life has dreams.
Each is wonderful.
And the show.
This was another what? Like another 50% move? Almost. Yeah, that put us above all-time highs. And then we hope and pray we don't get that 8-month consolidation that Bitcoin did. But I don't think
the main thing that makes me think that we might not get it is Sol ETH, because Sol ETH looks like it wants to continue lower to me, which means I could see further ETH USD price appreciation.
Yeah. Look at the respect out of this trend line too. Like zoomed in on the daily. Like looks like we're trying to flip this weekly downtrend into support here. If you could hold, go for higher.
How does Doge look today?
Fine.
I like this. This is your shove spot, in my opinion. I was talking about this to the Discord because they asked me about it. Right. So you got your classic double bottom, beautiful stuff. You broke the neckline, got your breakout traders getting wrecked as usual. And a lot of time in crypto, right? Because like when you learn, like if you actually try to study TA, right, and you go to the textbooks and you do all that stuff, it's just like, oh, you know, double bottom, break the neckline, perfect retest, right? And then you go, right? One thing I was talking to the Discord about is, you know, crypto being as volatile as it is, right? You have all these liquidations, these leverage flushes. A lot of the times, you know, you don't get the perfect retest, right? What you do is you get something more like a hard retest where, you know, people trying to come in and bid this support, like at like the trend line exactly. Usually you come a little deeper, right? Usually you come a little deeper. You kind of run through that quote unquote textbook entry. You come a little deeper. Usually there's some nice daily inefficiencies directly below. And then you kind of bounce off that and then go, right? So this box is what I drew for the Discord call. What was that, Tuesday night or Wednesday? So this is a shove spot for me. Like anywhere in this area, you know, you're likely going to see Doge bounce from this area and go. And we've seen Pepe do something like this as well recently. A little different because we didn't get the neckline breakout. I guess it depends what time frame you look at, but like double bottom. Breakout traders get wrecked on that double bottom breakout. You come back, you fill the daily inefficiency directly below the neckline, little farther than most would expect. Looks like it's going to roll, and then you go, right? So kind of similar in that sense, a little different, but you're going to see that all the time in crypto, just due to the volatility and the leverage buildup and the liquidations. It always tends to make price slide a little farther than your textbook, like your textbook TA kind of setup, right? So like neckline broke out, should have bounced here, slid lower. People are like, oh, back inside the range, right? It's going to roll and then see you later, right? And crypto really does like to play tricks on people, especially people that like trade, like let's say they trade equities and stuff like that, and they try to come and trade crypto, like because equities is traded a lot cleaner, in my opinion. They're not, but like you wouldn't know that unless you're like a native crypto investor and expect these things, and you kind of just have to learn over time and kind of like adapt more of like a hybrid trading strategy, if you will. It's
Equities are so much better to trade than crypto, man.
Yeah, they trade so much. It's kind of like a cheat code. But like I skipped right over equities. Like I went right to crypto. And now over the last couple of years, I'm starting to venture over to equities and trade those as well. And just like a lot of the stuff I've learned over the years, it just plays so much cleaner in equities versus crypto. You get these bigger liquidation slides and trickery and all that stuff. But yeah, Chainlink too, looking very similar to Doge, right? Double bottom. And actually hasn't even come into here yet. So who knows if it will. Maybe this will hold up, right? But a lot of these altcoins, these pullbacks, right, after these nice runs off the low, like something like a Chainlink, a high cap altcoin, ran 70, almost 80% off the lows in just like a week or so. A lot of them are pulling back after a nice run and trying to flip major levels back into support. So, these dips are for buying, right? These dips are for buying until proven otherwise. So like something like Link, something like Doge, after nice runs, pulling back, coming into these big demand levels. This is where if you're not positioned, you are forced to have to buy these higher lows, right? Like we're kind of leaving the what we used to be seeing, where like you get these full retraces, right? Every pump getting fully retraced. Like no, like we're entering a trending environment, and you're gonna have to switch your mindset from like every pump getting swept to looking for a continuation and taking advantage of these pullbacks and taking what the market gives you. So something like a Doge, something like a Link, putting in these just classic stair step pullbacks into support, flipping key levels back into support, and likely going on an even bigger run than what we've seen off the lows. So dips are for buying, ladies and gentlemen, in these environments until proven otherwise.
I agree. I concur. And the level to watch for Bitcoin, 117K. If you flip that, I think we're looking at a very different context, obviously, than the one we're talking about this morning. But I think with that, it's a pretty good spot to begin wrapping up the show, wrapping up the week. Unless you're a subscriber, of course, in which case we'll see you on the Discord call here in a few hours. But thank you guys, as always, for tuning in to Market Check, brought to you by BB. We enjoy doing these shows all throughout the week. If you are a first-time enjoyer or you're just getting acquainted with us, we go live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the same typical start time, 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But make sure as well to check out Ape Time with BB. That's every Thursday. That's our brand new show. We didn't run it this week, but we do plan on running it again next week when we get our full cast and crew back. So I'm very much looking forward to that. It's at the exact same time as Market Check. So shouldn't be too difficult to factor that into your schedule if you've already become a Market Check enjoyer. But also make sure to tune in for Market Talk with King Wabi. That's an X-Space host through our Because Bitcoin account. Wabi does a great job on that show. He's been absolutely killing the market lately. So make sure to tune in for that as well. And make sure to stay following and subscribe to not just his account, but also to the Because Bitcoin X account, so you can be notified not just when we schedule those spaces ahead of time, but also when we go live. But yeah, that's it for today's show, guys. Before we have you depart, we're going to play a quick ad for it. Because Bitcoin Terminal. I strongly recommend that you guys check it out if you haven't already, especially if you are big into on-chain. really thinking that's about to heat up more meaningfully. I know it's been a little bit quiet in those waters here recently, but I want to say with the Sol ETH move that we're seeing, the way we've seen majors reprice higher, it's only a matter of time before we see that filter back into on-chain. And if you're looking for a way to get an edge, check out our new degen page on the BB terminal. It looks incredible. It works incredibly. Check it out, guys. But yeah, thanks again for tuning in, as always, guys. And of course, stay safe.
Tired of outdated trading tools, confused charts, dozens of tabs, endless stress? You're not alone. Introducing BB Terminal, your all-in-one command center for crypto trading. Track your portfolio, monitor the markets, stay ahead, all in one place. From chaos to clarity, from struggle to success. BB Terminal.